My name is Margaret Chen, and I'm 58 years old. For most of my life, I believed I knew my father better than anyone else in this world. Robert Chen was a man of few words but many gestures. He taught me to ride a bicycle when I was 6, holding the back of the seat until I found my balance. He sat through every piano recital, even when my notes stumbled. When my mother passed away from cancer 12 years ago, he held my hand at her bedside and whispered that we would get through it together. And we did get through it. After Mom died, Dad moved into a small apartment across town. He said he wanted to downsize, to simplify his life. I visited him every Sunday without fail. We would have lunch together, usually something simple like sandwiches or soup, and then we would talk. Sometimes about the weather, sometimes about his garden, sometimes about nothing at all. Those Sunday visits became the anchor of my week. I had done well for myself. My career in real estate had flourished over the years, and I had recently sold a property that netted me enough commission to finally purchase my dream home. It was a beautiful Victorian house in a quiet neighborhood worth $980,000. Large windows, hardwood floors, a garden that reminded me of the one my mother used to tend. I had signed the papers just 3 weeks before everything changed. That Tuesday afternoon started like any other. I was in my office organizing files when my phone rang. Dad's name appeared on the screen. I smiled as I always did when I saw his calls. "Hi, Dad," I answered cheerfully. There was silence on the other end, not complete silence, but the kind of muffled quiet that tells you someone has pocket-dialed you. I was about to hang up and call him back when I heard voices. Dad's voice, clear and familiar, and another voice, male, slightly younger. I recognized it immediately as my brother, Thomas. I hadn't spoken to Thomas in nearly 6 months. We had grown distant over the years, our lives taking different paths. He lived in Europe with his wife, running some kind of tech consulting business. Our relationship had never been close, not like the one I shared with Dad. Thomas was always busy, always traveling, always too preoccupied to visit or even call regularly. I should have hung up. I knew it was an accident. But something made me stay on the line. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was the tone in Thomas's voice, something sharp and urgent that I hadn't heard before. "Dad, you need to think about this seriously," Thomas was saying. His accent had picked up European inflections over the years. "You can't keep going on like this." "I'm fine, Thomas," Dad replied. His voice sounded tired. "I manage just fine." "You're not fine. You're 82 years old. You shouldn't be living alone. What if something happens? What if you fall and no one's there?" My heart tightened. I hadn't realized Thomas was visiting. Dad hadn't mentioned it during our last Sunday lunch. "Margaret comes by every week," Dad said softly. "She takes good care of me." There was a pause. A long, heavy pause that made my stomach turn. "Dad," Thomas said, and his voice had changed. It had become colder, more calculating. "That's exactly what we need to talk about, Margaret." I froze. My hand gripped the phone tighter. "What about her?" Dad asked. "She's a burden." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stopped breathing. The office around me seemed to shrink. "A burden?" Dad's voice had risen slightly. "Thomas, that's my daughter you're talking about." "Our sister," Thomas corrected. "And I love her too, Dad. But let's be honest here. She's always been dependent on you. Emotionally dependent. Mom dies and she can't let go. She comes over every single week. She calls you constantly. She organizes your life. Dad, she's 58 years old and she's still clinging to you like a child." My eyes began to burn. "That's not fair," Dad said, but his voice was weak, uncertain. "Isn't it? When was the last time she went on vacation? When was the last time she dated anyone seriously? When was the last time she did anything that didn't somehow revolve around taking care of you or visiting you or checking in on you?" Silence. "She needs you, Dad. Too much. And it's not healthy. Not for her, and frankly not for you either. You're 82. You should be in a place where professionals can look after you. A nice assisted living community. You'd have activities, social opportunities, medical care on site. You wouldn't have to worry about Margaret coming over every week feeling obligated to take care of you." "She doesn't do it out of obligation," Dad said quietly. "Doesn't she?" "Dad, think about it. You're her entire life. That's not normal. That's not healthy. And what happens when you're gone? What is she going to do then? She'll be completely lost. By letting her lean on you like this, you're not helping her. You're crippling her. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. But I couldn't move. I don't know, Thomas, Dad said slowly. This seems harsh. It's not harsh, it's honest. Look, I've already researched some places. There's a wonderful facility about 20 minutes from Margaret's new house. Beautiful grounds, excellent staff, all the care you could need. And the best part? It would force Margaret to finally build her own life, to stop using you as a crutch, to finally grow up and move on. Move on from what? From Mom, from the past, from this idea that she has to be your caretaker. Dad, she sold a house for almost $1 million. She's financially secure. She has a career. But emotionally, she's stuck. And you keeping her around, letting her busy. Every week, letting her organize your pills and cook your meals and manage your appointments. It's enabling her. It's keeping her stuck. Another long silence. I need to think about this, Dad finally said. Of course. Take your time. But Dad, I'm flying back to Amsterdam next week. Before I go, I really think we should visit some of these places. Just to look. You don't have to commit to anything, just see what's available. For your own good, and for Margaret's. All right, Dad said. We can look. Good. And Dad, one more thing. When we do this, when you make the move, I think it's best if we don't tell Margaret right away. Let's get you settled first. Then we can explain it to her gently. If we tell her beforehand, she'll fight it. She'll make it all about her. She'll guilt you into staying where you are, and we both know that's not what's best for anyone. I heard movement, footsteps. The call ended. I sat in my office chair, staring at the phone in my hand. The screen had gone dark. Outside my window, the afternoon sun was shining. Cars passed by on the street below. Life was continuing as normal for everyone else, but my world had just shattered. I replayed the conversation in my mind. Every word, every inflection. Thomas calling me a burden. Saying I was emotionally crippled. Saying I needed to grow up. Saying Dad was enabling me by letting me be part of his life. But what hurt most, what truly broke something inside me, was that Dad hadn't fought back. Not really. He had offered weak protests, but he had listened. He had agreed to look at facilities. He had agreed to hide it from me. Was Thomas right? Was I a burden? I thought about my life. My beautiful new house that I had been so proud of just weeks ago suddenly felt empty. I thought about my Sundays with Dad. Were they obligation for him? Did he dread my visits? Did he smile and nod while secretly wishy I would leave him alone? I thought about the years since Mom died. Yes, I had leaned on Dad. Yes, I had needed him. But I thought he had needed me too. I thought we were helping each other through grief. I thought we were family. Apparently, I had been wrong. That evening, I sat in my new living room surrounded by unpacked boxes. The house was too quiet. Too big. I had bought it imagining Dad visiting, maybe staying in the guest room sometimes. I had imagined hosting Sunday dinners here instead of in his small apartment. I had imagined a future where we grew old together, where I could take care of him the way he had always taken care of me. But Thomas was right about one thing. I was 58 years old. I had built my entire life around my father, and now, apparently, that made me a burden. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't eat. I tried to think rationally, to be objective. Maybe Thomas had a point. Maybe I was too dependent. Maybe Dad did need professional care. Maybe I was being selfish by wanting to keep him close. But the word burden kept echoing in my mind. The next day was Wednesday. I didn't call Dad. For the first time in 12 years, I let a day pass without checking in on him. It felt wrong, like I was missing a vital part of my routine. But I couldn't bear to hear his voice, knowing what I knew. Thursday came. Still no call. I wondered if he noticed. I wondered if he was relieved. On Friday, my phone rang. Dad's name on the screen. My hand trembled as I answered. Margaret, honey, is everything all right? I haven't heard from you. His voice was warm, concerned, the same voice that had comforted me through every crisis in my life. I'm fine, Dad, I managed to say. Just busy with work. Oh. Well, I wanted to let you know that Thomas is in town. He surprised me with a visit. We've been spending some time together. That's nice, I said, my voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Are you sure you're all right? You sound strange. I'm fine, Dad. Really, I should go. I have a client meeting. I hung up before he could say anything else. That weekend, I didn't visit. For the first time in 12 years, Sunday came and went without me sitting across from my father sharing a meal. I stayed in my big empty house, surrounded by boxes I hadn't unpacked, and I cried. On Monday morning, I made a decision. If I was a burden, I would remove that burden. If Dad needed space to live his own life, to make his own choices without feeling obligated to me, then I would give him that space. And if Thomas was right, if I had been using Dad as a crutch, then it was time for me to stand on my own. I called my real estate attorney. The house I had just purchased, my dream home, could be put back on the market. I had only owned it for 3 weeks. The market was hot. I could sell it quickly. Are you sure about this? My attorney asked. You just bought this place. You'll lose money on the transaction fees. I'm sure, I said. Next, I called a colleague who specialized in international property. I had been thinking about it all weekend. If I was going to start over, truly start over, then I needed to go somewhere new, somewhere far from painful memories and Sunday lunches and the feeling of being a burden. I want to look at properties in Portugal, I told her. Quiet, near the coast, something I can afford to buy outright. She was surprised but excited. Portugal had become popular with retirees. The climate was beautiful. The cost of living was reasonable. It was a fresh start. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked methodically. I listed my house. I researched properties abroad. I informed my real estate firm that I would be taking an extended leave, possibly permanent. I had enough savings, enough from my recent commissions to make this work. I still didn't visit Dad. He called several times. I kept the conversations brief, always claiming to be busy. I could hear the confusion in his voice, the concern, but I couldn't face him. Not yet. Not until everything was arranged. Thomas had flown back to Amsterdam. Dad was alone again. Part of me wanted to run to him, to pretend I had never heard that conversation. But I couldn't. The word burden had branded itself into my soul. My house sold in 10 days, multiple offers. I accepted one that was slightly below asking price but offered a quick closing. The buyers were a young family, excited about the big windows and the garden. I smiled and shook their hands, and felt nothing. I found a property in Portugal. A small villa overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. 2 bedrooms, a terrace, olive trees in the yard. It was beautiful in the photos. Simple, far away. I made an offer. It was accepted. Everything was happening so fast. 4 weeks had passed since that phone call. 4 weeks since my world had changed. And through it all, I had stayed away from Dad, making excuses, avoiding the inevitable conversation. Finally, on a Tuesday morning, exactly 1 month after I had overheard the call, I drove to Dad's apartment. It was time. He opened the door and his face lit up, then immediately clouded with concern. Margaret, sweetheart, come in. I've been so worried. You haven't visited. You barely call. What's going on? I walked into his small living room. Everything was familiar. The worn couch where I had sat countless Sundays, the photos of Mom on the mantel, the chess set we occasionally played with. This was the place where I had felt safest in the world. Dad, we need to talk, I said. He sat down slowly, his 82-year-old body moving carefully. All right, talk to me. I had rehearsed this, I had planned what to say, but now, looking at his concerned face, his kind eye, all my carefully prepared words disappeared. I'm moving to Portugal, I said simply. He stared at me. Portugal? What? Why? I sold the house, the new one. I bought a villa near the coast. I'm leaving in 3 weeks. Margaret, I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. You just bought that house. You were so happy. Why would you sell it? Why would you move to another country? I took a deep breath. Because I'm a burden, Dad. His face went pale. What? I heard you and Thomas, a month ago. You pocket-dialed me. I heard the entire conversation. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were filled with pain. Oh, Margaret, Thomas said I was a burden. He said I was emotionally crippled. He said I was using you as a crutch and you were enabling me. And you didn't disagree, Dad. You listened. You agreed to look at assisted living facilities. You agreed to hide it from me. Margaret, please let me explain. You don't need to explain. Thomas was right. I'm 58 years old and my entire life revolves around you. That's not healthy. That's not normal. So I'm fixing it. I'm giving you space. I'm building my own life. Far away. Where I can't be a burden anymore. Tears were streaming down my face now. Dad stood up, tried to approach me, but I stepped back. You're not a burden, he said, his voice breaking. Margaret, you're my daughter. You've never been a burden. Then why didn't you defend me? Why didn't you tell Thomas he was wrong? Dad sat back down heavily. He looked old suddenly, older than I had ever seen him. Because he made me doubt myself. I stopped. What? Thomas, Dad said quietly, has always been good at that, making people doubt themselves. He's confident, successful. He presents arguments so clearly, so logically. And he said things that scared me. What things? He said I was holding you back, that by letting you take care of me, I was preventing you from living your own life. He said that when I die, you'll be lost. And Margaret, that terrified me. Because what if he's right? What if I am being selfish? What if by accepting your love and your care, I'm somehow damaging you? I sat down slowly. You thought you were hurting me? I thought maybe I was. Thomas painted this picture of you being stuck, being unable to move forward, and he blamed me for it. He said the kindest thing I could do would be to push you away, to force you to be independent, and for a moment, just a moment, I wondered if he was right, but you didn't defend me. I whispered. No, Dad admitted. I didn't. And I've regretted that every single day since that conversation. Margaret, Thomas left the next morning. I told him I wasn't interested in any assisted living facility. I told him that my relationship with you was precious to me, and I wasn't going to let anyone interfere with it. I told him he was wrong about you, wrong about us. I looked at him. You did? Of course I did. But by then you had already heard the conversation. You had already pulled away. When you didn't visit that Sunday, I knew something was wrong. When you stopped calling, I knew you had heard. I just didn't know what to say. How to fix it. I called Thomas. I told him what had happened. Do you know what he said? I shook my head. He said maybe it was for the best. That maybe you pulling away would be good for both of us. That's when I realized my son doesn't understand love at all. He understands logic, strategy, optimization, but he doesn't understand that sometimes people need each other not because they're weak, but because they're human. The tears were falling freely now. I thought I was a burden. Dad crossed the room and took my hands. Margaret, listen to me. After your mother died, I was drowning, completely lost. Do you remember those first few months? I nodded. They had been dark months for both of us. You saved me, Dad said. Your visits, your phone calls, your insistence that we have Sunday lunch together. You gave me a reason to get up in the morning. You gave me something to look forward to. You weren't a burden. You were a lifeline. But Thomas sees the world through his own lens. He values independence above everything. He lives thousands of miles from family because that's what he wants. But that's not what I want. And I don't think it's what you want either, is it? I thought about my villa in Portugal, the olive trees, the Atlantic Ocean, the distance. I don't know what I want anymore, I admitted. Dad squeezed my hands. Do you visit me out of obligation? No, never. Do you feel burdened by our relationship? No. I love our Sundays. I love talking to you. I love knowing you're in my life. Then why are you leaving? 'Cause I thought you wanted me to. I thought I was holding you back. Holding you hostage to my needs. Dad's eyes filled with tears. Margaret, the only thing holding me hostage is the thought of you leaving, of you moving across an ocean because my son convinced you that love is weakness, that needing people is a flaw, that caring for your family makes you damaged. We sat in silence for a moment, both of us crying. Thomas called me a burden, I said softly. Thomas is wrong. He's wrong about you. He's wrong about us. And he's wrong about what makes a life meaningful. Yes, you visit me every week. Yes, we talk on the phone. Yes, you help me with things sometimes. And I help you sometimes too. That's not being a burden. That's being family. That's being human. But what if I am too dependent? What if I'm not living my own life? Dad smiled gently. Are you happy with your life, Margaret? I thought about it, really thought about it. Most of time, yes. I love my work, I have friends, I have hobbies, I travel sometimes. I have a good life. But yes, you're a big part of it. Is that wrong? Is it wrong that you're a big part of my life? No. Then why would it be wrong the other way around? Margaret, there's this idea in our culture that to be truly mature, truly independent, you have to need no one. That's nonsense. We're social creatures. We need connection. We need love. We need family. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. I looked at the photos of Mom on the mantle. I miss her every day. So do I. And having you in my life helps. It helps me feel connected to her, to our family, to the past, but also to the present. You're not just my father, you're my friend, and you're mine, Dad said. Margaret, I'm 82 years old. I don't know how many years I have left, but however many there are, I want to spend them with the people I love, including you. Especially you, not because you're obligated to be here, not because I'm dependent on you, but because I love you, and I enjoy your company, and our relationship brings joy to my life. Is that okay? I started crying again, but this time they were different tears. Yes, that's okay. So please, Dad said gently, don't move to Portugal. Don't sell your beautiful house. Don't run away because my son doesn't understand that love isn't a burden. Stay. Not for me, for yourself, because this is where you want to be. I thought about the villa with olive trees. I thought about starting over in a country where I didn't speak the language, where I knew no one, where I would be truly alone. I had convinced myself it was what I needed. Independence, separation, proof that I wasn't a burden. But the truth was, I didn't want that. I wanted my Sundays with Dad. I wanted my life here, in this town, with my career and my friends and my father who loved me. The house LD, I said. I can't get it back. Dad smiled. Then you'll find another house. Maybe closer to me this time. We'll look together. And the villa in Portugal? Sell it. Or keep it as a vacation home. Visit when you want space. But don't run away from the people who love you because someone convinced you that needing them is shameful. I hugged my father then. Really hugged him for the first time in a month. He felt frail in my arms, older than I wanted to admit. But he was strong too. Strong enough to see through Thomas's logic. Strong enough to fight for our relationship. I'm sorry, I whispered. I should have talked to you right away. Instead, I ran. And I'm sorry I didn't defend you better on that phone call. I let Thomas plant doubt in my mind. I should have told him immediately that he was wrong. We pulled apart. Dad wiped his eyes. Thomas means well, he said. In his own way, he thought he was helping. He loves efficiency, optimization. He sees problems and wants to solve them. He saw me aging, living alone, and saw it as a problem to be fixed. He saw you visiting me every week and saw it as dependency. But what he doesn't understand is that not everything is a problem to be solved. Sometimes things are exactly as they should be. I nodded. Should I talk to him? That's up to you, but Margaret, don't let his view of the world make you question your own. You know who you are. You know what brings you joy. Trust that. Over the following weeks, I did several things. First, I canceled the villa purchase in Portugal. There were penalties, fees, complications. I didn't care. It wasn't where I belonged. Second, I found a new house. Smaller than the Victorian I had briefly owned. Closer to Dad's apartment, just 15 minutes away. It had a guest room with large windows. I told Dad it was his whenever he wanted it. Third, I resumed my Sunday visits. But is time. I invited Dad to start coming to my new place sometimes too. We would alternate, some Sundays at his apartment, some at my house. We would cook together, play chess, talk about everything and nothing. Fourth, I called Thomas. It was not an easy conversation. He was defensive at first, insisting he had been trying to help. He genuinely believed that pushing me toward independence was an act of love. Thomas, I said, I know you meant well. But you don't get to decide what my relationship with Dad should look like. You don't get to decide what makes me happy or healthy. I'm not damaged because I love spending time with our father. I'm not crippled because I value family. I'm not a burden because I show up. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I didn't mean to hurt you. I know. But you did. The word burden, Thomas. Do you know what that did to me? I'm sorry, I was trying to be objective, logical. I thought I was seeing something you couldn't see. What you were seeing, I said gently, was your own values reflected back at you. You value independence above connection. That's fine for you. But it's not fine for everyone. It's not fine for me. And it's not fine for Dad. Dad seems happy, Thomas admitted. When I talk to him, he talks about you, your visits, things you said, things you did together. I thought he was just being polite. I thought maybe he felt obligated. But after our conversation, after I pushed about the assisted living thing, he pushed back hard. I've never seen him like that. He was angry, really angry. At me? He loves me, I said simply. And I love him. Not out of obligation, not out of dependency, just love. Can you understand that? I'm trying, Thomas said. I really am. I guess I just see the world differently. That's okay. But Thomas, next time you visit, don't come with solutions to problems that don't exist. Come to spend time with Dad. Let him be happy on his own terms. Okay, he said quietly. I can do that. The conversation ended there. I don't know if Thomas truly understood, but it was a start. Months passed. My life settled into a new rhythm. Work continued. Friends gathered. But the center of my week remained those Sundays with Dad. Sometimes we talked about Mom. Sometimes we talked about current events. Sometimes we just sat in comfortable silence. One Sunday, about 6 months after everything had happened, Dad looked at me across the lunch table and said, I'm proud of you. For what? For not running away. For not letting someone else define your worth. For fighting for what matters to you. I smiled. I learned that from you. No, he said. You already knew it. You just forgot for a moment. We all forget sometimes. But you remembered. That takes courage. So does defending your daughter even when doubt creeps in, I said. Thank you for that. For eventually telling Thomas he was wrong. For choosing us, always, Dad said, always us. That evening as I drove home to my small house with the guest room, I thought about the word burden. How much power we give to words. How they can break us or build us depending on who speaks them and in what context. Thomas had called me a burden. For a month I had believed him. I had let that single word erase years of love, of connection, of joy. I had been ready to throw away my life here because I thought I was broken. But I wasn't broken. I was human. And humans need each other. That's not a flaw. That's a feature. Now, at 59 years old, I understand something I didn't before. Independence isn't about needing no one. It's about choosing who you need and why. It's about building relationships that nourish rather than deplete. It's about showing up for people not because you have to, but because you want to, every Sunday. I still visit Dad, or he visits me. We cook together, laugh together, remember Mom together. And not once, not for a single second, do I feel like a burden. Because I'm not. I'm a daughter, a friend, a person who loves and is loved in return. And that, I've learned, is worth more than all the independence in the world. Dad is 83 now. He's slower, more forgetful sometimes. I know that one day, maybe soon, maybe not, I'll lose him the way I lost Mom. But when that day comes, I won't regret a single Sunday. I won't regret a single phone call. I won't regret choosing to be present in his life, to let him be present in mine. Thomas still lives in Amsterdam. He visits once a year now, usually around the holidays. He's kinder than he used to be, less focused on fixing things. Last Christmas, he pulled me aside and said, "You were right, about Dad, about family. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it." I hugged him. Brothers and sisters don't always understand each other. But sometimes, with time and grace, they can. My small house has become a home. The guest room sees regular use. Dad stays over sometimes when we have early morning plans. Friends visit. I host dinners. I've unpacked all the boxes this time. And on Sundays, when I drive to Dad's apartment, or when he drives to my house, I don't think about burdens or dependence or whether I'm living my life correctly. I think about how lucky I am, how precious this time is, how grateful I am that I didn't run away to Portugal, that I didn't let fear and shame dictate my choices. Life is short, love is rare, family is complicated, but showing up, being present, choosing connection over isolation, that's not weakness. That's the whole point. If you found meaning in this story, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below sharing your own experiences with family, with love, with choosing connection over the fear of being too much. Your stories matter, your voice matters, and you are never a burden for simply being human.